So recently, I watched a video that Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything Dylan did about a year ago, where he talked about how he felt that the character known as Ao, I guess you could say, or Blue, as part of her avatar's name was for each of her avatars that she would utilize in V-Reigns. He felt that Ao, or Io, or Io, if you will, was pretty much, mistreated in V-Reigns. Especially when she was in her blue avatars, whether it was Blue Girl, whether it was Blue Maiden, or Blue Winged Girl. I think that was the first one. He always felt like she was mistreated. That, because of her mistreatment, he felt that, it wasn't right. He felt that basically, it basically took a very intriguing, interesting character in Ao and basically, tossed it aside. Because, her character outside of the V-Reigns, I guess you could say virtual world where dueling was, was like a loner, a bit, kind of like a loner, kind of depressed a little bit before she eventually became friends, I guess, with the main protagonist and others, and got, reunited with her brother and stuff. But he basically felt that the way her character was mistreated, virtually, her avatar, that is, that represented her, was mistreated in the virtual world of dueling for V-Reigns, was, just the wrong way to go. I mean, he counted basically that throughout all the duels that she had in the series, and, throughout all the episodes she appeared in, that she only won 3 and lost, all the other duels. She won 3 duels and lost the other ones, and the ones that she lost, that he mentioned, were done in humiliating fashion. Like, it just did not make her character look good. And I can understand where he's coming from, because, I recently, of course, did the video where I said that now is the time, for a main female protagonist in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Series and, anime and manga needs to happen. Like, this is the best time. Like, after you do Go Rush, the next one needs to, have a female as your main protagonist, being in that role of a Yugi, a Jaden, a Yusei, if you know what I mean. Because I feel that if something like that happens, then not only would it be Shonen Jump and Konami and, all the people behind the series acknowledging, hey, we hear you, we hear you, being the fans, we hear you, and, we're gonna use the new anime after Go Rush, the new manga after Go Rush, to correct that. We're going to, give you what you want and everything. But also, it would basically, in the long run, kind of be their way of addressing how certain female characters, protagonists and antagonists are treated, in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. Because you do that, not only does it send a strong message that you finally are hearing, what fans are asking for, what they've been wanting for a long time, and now you're giving it to them by changing the status quo and doing exactly that, making a female the main protagonist. But you're also, in a way, addressing the fact that, yes, you hear what people are saying. You hear that they're sick and tired of, female protagonists associated with the main protagonist, by extension, you're sick and tired of them being humiliated. You're sick and tired of them being shown as weak, and this is your way of making up for that. And, to me, again, like I said, in that video, this is the best time for that to happen, especially with all the SJWs, the cancel culture, and the wokeness. I mean, I couldn't think of a better way to say, hey, we don't want to, deal with this crap. We also want to, make it known that we hear our fans. And not only do we hear our fans, and we're going to give you a main female protagonist in the next Yu-Gi-Oh manga and anime after Go Rush, but we're also going to do this, and you also going to utilize that change to acknowledge that you're sick and tired of any of the female characters, protagonists or antagonists, being humiliated. And to me, that is a great, and to me that is, a great strong way to send the message of, like I said, you're listening to your fans and you're addressing issues that they want to see be addressed, especially when it comes to the female protagonist. But when it comes to AO, I think it's AOI, Iowa, not Iowa, but Awa, if you will, Awa's character, Blue, if you will. When it comes to the way her character is treated, mostly her avatar in the V-Rain's world of dueling, it's done mainly because of the same way that we've seen some of the female characters throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise of series and animes and mangas be treated. Because like I said in the previous video, even though Japan, through the animes and live actions and mangas and all that, are willing to step out of the box and step out of the norm and come up with even the most WTF of ideas to present as a new manga, as a new anime series, that even gets people wondering, what the heck am I seeing here? What why did they decide to go with this? Even though they're willing to do that, and even though they're willing, to take the first step, in the next achievement of technology when it comes to entertainment, like television, video games, music, you name it, and share it with the world, even though they're willing to do all that, the one thing that holds them back is the culture. It's that old school mentality culture. And even though they are trying their best, from what I can tell, to, in the real world, get beyond that, when it comes to their mangas, comes to the animes and live action shows, nothing's really changed that much. I mean, it's slowly getting there. We've seen examples, but most of the time it stays the course of old school mentality, that the female is not as important as the male, and that they need to be humbled to, in front of people, for not only the character in the stories themselves, but for the viewer, the reader, to see that this is their place, and that's all that matters. And like I said, a lot of people, both here in America, in other parts of the world, and in Japan, are sick and tired of it. They are tired of it, and they want a change. But that's why when you see someone like Ao, if you will, Blue, if you will, in V-Rain's being mistreated the way she does, or mistreated and humiliated, I should say, in her defeats, the way she is, throughout the course of the series, which is, she only has 3 victories. All the other ones are defeats, if you will. The reason you see her treated the way she is in the defeats that he pointed out in the video is because it's their way of sending a message that as much as this character in the series that's intriguing outside of the virtual world, that's trying to, get out of the state that she's in out in the real world, that eventually she does do, that as intriguing as all this is for the character, that, deep down, that in reality, her, what I'm trying to say is basically what I'm trying to say, and it's late when I'm doing this, I do apologize, but basically, long story short, that, they realize, that when, they're taking a character that's intriguing, and I think I lost my train of thought there, like I said, it's late, that's intriguing, and they're basically saying, that basically saying that she is not at the level of the main character. That as intriguing as popular as she's getting, she's not at that level. And the way she loses the matches, that Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything Dylan pointed out in his video, the way she does, very humiliatingly, if you will, to the point that some of them have been memed. It's just, again, the way of going back to that old school thinking that this is sending a message that to them, women are meant to know their place. Like their place is below, the man, the men, and or the female's place is below the male's place. And we're in a world and society now where that's not the case anymore. That's definitely not the case. And like I said, even in Japan, they're realizing that. They are realizing that. And over time, you do see, its effect happening in mangas and in animes. And like I said, this is why I feel that if they finally do what I feel they need to do after Go Rush with the next Yu-Gi-Oh series and give us a main female protagonist, that's in the role of a Yugi, Jaden, and a Yusei. If they do that, then it sends a message that not only do they hear the fans and are giving the fans what they want, but they're also hearing the fans' complaints, and they're addressing those complaints of how female characters are mistreated and humiliated and humbled in these series, and now it's time for that to change. And also it sends a message that they realize, okay, we need to move on, we need to go with the times. But the reason, though, Ao gets, treated the way she does, it's the same way some of the other female characters in previous Yu-Gi-Oh! Series and other previous anime series have been mistreated. It's mainly because of the fact of, like I said, it's the cultural thinking that got to give them credit, that Japan is getting out of, but very slowly. And it's basically a step-by-step process. But yeah, when I saw the video that he did, like I said, I get where he's coming from. I do. But it's all about cultural difference and how they view, female characters. Like in the real world, they acknowledge probably that that the woman is just as good, if not better, than the man when it comes to certain jobs and techniques and all that. There's no doubt about that. But when it comes to presenting a female character in multimedia, it's still that old school filming thinking of, the female character has to be humbled. But we have seen in other Shonen Jump that that's not the case, because some Shonen Jump have had female characters as the main characters. So to, do this finally with Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game or not, I think is a great, huge, significant step. And to me, the timing couldn't be better. You got Go Rush coming up. Who knows how many episodes that's going to be. But once that's said and done, they should make the announcement that the next Yu-Gi-Oh anime and manga that will come afterwards, that hopefully they're working on right now, or at least thinking about of right now, is going to have the first ever main female protagonist. And the moment that announcement gets made, it's going to set the internet ablaze. It's going to set the internet ablaze, because people are going to be rejoicing. They are going to be, basically they're going to be hashtagging, they're going to be rejoicing, they're going to be doing reaction videos, you name it, because finally the moment they've been waiting for has arrived. But until that time, you're going to have Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes, or any animes of that nature, past and present and future, basically finding a way to mistreat a character that fans are invested in, even if that character has an alter ego. They're going to find ways to humiliate that character or humble that character, to send the message that this character is below the pecking order, or is at this stage in the pecking order underneath the main male character. And that's why L, if you will, Blue, in V-Range is treated the way she is. The reason she loses the duels the way she does. Not because of the fact that they have it out for her or anything like that. It's the fact that doing this to her sends a cultural, is sending that message of, you know, of from that old school mentality of, even though they're slowly getting out of it step by step when it comes to the entertainment, the animes and the mangas and the live action films and series, even though they're slowly getting out of it, and they pretty much are getting out of it in the real world as we speak, that it is still viewed, especially in entertainment, as a pecking order, and in that pecking order, a female protagonist or antagonist is always seen as below the male, especially when it comes to something like a Yu-Gi-Oh series or Digimon or Pokemon. And that's a fact. That is a fact. I mean, Bakugan has even done that. Beyblade has even done that. The thing is, to me, if a franchise like Yu-Gi-Oh makes the announcement that they're going to turn the other page, and give us a main female protagonist on the next, Yu-Gi-Oh anime and manga after Go Rush, and that sends a message to all the other related game, manga, related game-based mangas and animes that have come after it, like Beyblade and Bakugan and Pokemon and even Digimon, that hey, if Yu-Gi-Oh, one of the, if not the most popular franchise, in recent memory, from a gaming standpoint, not just a gaming standpoint, but a manga and an anime standpoint, if it's willing to change with the times and give us a main female protagonist, maybe we should try that as well. And don't be surprised if that's the end result. But again, like I said, the reason AO got mistreated the way she did, the reason she only won 3 duels against opponents people pretty much knew she was going to win against, the reason why all 3 of her avatars, Blue Ring Girl, Blue Girl, and Blue Maiden, were treated the way they were in defeats, was basically to send a message that, you could that send that old school message that basically, as far as like entertainment goes in Japan, the woman is still looked at as being beneath the man. That even though in the real world, the exact opposite of that is happening, where the men and the women are equal, if are equal, at an equal footing, I should say, in what happens and what goes on, that it's still viewed in entertainment, anime, manga, live action. They still go by that old school mentality. And it's slowly changing, that is true. But it's a step-by-step process that hopefully will take a huge step if, let's say, the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise decides to go the direction they need to go. But that's why when I look at Blue Wing Girl, Blue Maiden, Blue Girl, if you will, Arrow's character in V-Reigns, and the way Dylan of Yu-Gi-Oh everything describes on how she's treated. Again, it's all about old school mentality thinking when it comes to showcasing female character in any kind of multimedia entertainment, if you catch my drift. Like I said, they're willing to step outside the box to create whatever, might be, the next big WTF thing for an original anime or original manga that would be turned into an anime later on. Like, let's say the ones I mentioned in the previous video. They're willing to basically take the next step in, advancement of technology to share with the world. Japan's willing to do that. They're willing in the real world to accept the fact that things have changed and that both men and women are on equal basis. But when it comes to the entertainment, when it comes to basically the position of female characters in anime, mangas, live action movies, and series, it's still that old school mentality that they're slowly getting out of. And hopefully, over time that's going to change, and maybe the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise, as big as it is, might be that one major step they need to take to make that happen. But again, this is why, Ao's character, her various blue avatars are treated the way they are, all because of the old school cultural thinking that in entertainment, the female has to be humbled. The female character, protagonist, antagonist, has to be humbled and humiliated to learn her place, even if that character is, and basically truly invested in by the fans because of how they're presented, the first time around and throughout the series. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. Live chat during the premiere. Check out my podcast, the BW Roses Discussions. Also check me out at my Teespring store. Also check me out at Vimeo at BW Roses. Also check me out at patreon.com/BW Roses to support me there. And also at Venmo at Brian-Warmer-2. Now that's all I'm going to say on this, guys. I do apologize if I rambled a little bit, if I sound like I'm tired. It is late. But let me know what your thoughts are. Live chat during the premiere. Super chats are encouraged during the live chat, during the premiere's live chat, I should say. Super chats are encouraged and be greatly appreciated. Or super chat stickers, if you will, as well, would be greatly appreciated during the premiere, during the live chat during the premiere. But let me know what your thoughts are there, as well as in the comments as well. And I'll talk to you later.